Good morning. This morning we are gonna make some sausage gravy and biscuits because that's what Norm requested. He's holding my camera for me today, being helpful. So, come sit in the bowl. In the bowl, I have everything prepped for us today to make it a little easier and faster. I've got 3 cups of flour in the bowl, and then you're gonna need 1.5 sticks of butter. You're gonna want to use real butter, not margarine. Because you're going to need to use the pastry cutter to cut it in the dish, and margarine's too soft. Then we have a tablespoon of sugar, a tablespoon of baking powder, and a teaspoon of salt. You're going to want to set your oven to preheat at 450 degrees, and I have my 2 baking sheets ready for my biscuits. So you're going to want to use some baking spray on your pans like I did. I always use a baking spray when I'm baking something because it has flour in it. We're going to add our stuff to our flour. First we're going to add our 1 tablespoon of sugar, our 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and our 1 teaspoon of salt. Now these are just a regular buttermilk biscuit that I'm making. I'm going to mix all these ingredients together. Old-fashioned wise, you probably would have used a sifter and sift them all together, but who uses sifters anymore? Nobody. And again, don't be afraid to make a mess in the kitchen. So I got that mixed up pretty good. I like to use a fork when I'm mixing up flour. Next, we're going to put in 1.5 sticks of butter. And then let's use a butter knife. Cut this in half. If you don't want to use this butter, you can use like half a cup of butter, which is 1 stick, and a 1/4 cup of shortening, if you'd like to use shortening. To do any kind of homemade pie crust or biscuits or anything, you're going to need a pastry blender. I'm pretty sure I got this at a yard sale or Goodwill or somewhere like that, because they're probably pretty expensive in the store and hard to find. But a lot of people find them in old people's kitchens and then just don't eat them. Nobody wants to keep them because they don't know what to do with them. But you're going to mix up this butter and this flour like this, and you're just going to keep cutting it and turning it until the whole mixture just looks like a bunch of little crumbs. And it does get built up. You just take your fork and do this and clean it up. Stick your fork in here, right here. I do suggest hand washing these when you're done if you do have a dishwasher. I am not lucky enough to have a dishwasher yet. Norm says I am the dishwasher, so I don't have one yet. So we're just gonna cut this in here like this. And it takes a couple minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue doing this, and then I'll show you what it looks like when we're all done. Okay, so Norm comes and looks closely at this bowl. I mixed it up pretty good. You don't have to like overwork yourself too much. My arm is a little sore because I did it for a long time, but as you can see, it looks kind of like grated Parmesan cheese. You can see all the little balls in there. So once you get it to look like that, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just gonna make like a well in the middle of your bowl. And then you're gonna take 1 cup of milk. To make it a true buttermilk biscuit, you're gonna wanna use buttermilk or soured milk. I'm just using regular milk because that's what I got. My oven's preheated, just on time. We're gonna mix this up into a dough. Now, not everything in the world works out perfectly, so if you end up mixing it completely up and it's a little dry and it's not sticking all together and you have a lot of loose flour at the bottom of your bowl, add just a couple of drops of milk until it's perfect. If it's too wet, you add a little bit more flour. And this is looking like it's sticking pretty good. And then we will use our fingers to mix up the rest. Now, if you don't want it to stick to your fingers, you just take the spray. That's what I like to do. I'm gonna get down and dirty into the dough. I'm gonna try to get it all together. Okay, so I sprinkled a little bit of flour onto my counter after I made sure it was clean and it was dry, and I put my flour mixture on there. And you're just gonna, once you get it in there in a ball, you're just gonna push it down a couple times like this and flip it and push it down. You don't wanna work it too much because then it'll make the dough too tough and crackly and stuff. And then you're gonna get a rolling pin. If you do not have a rolling pin, you can use, if you have like a straight round glass, like drinking glass. I've used that many times before in the past. You're gonna flour your rolling pin, and then you're gonna roll this dough out until it's about 3/4 of an inch thick. Unless you want thin, crispy biscuits, then you can roll it out even thinner. This is what we're gonna do. Roll. And you don't have to put any weight on the rolling pin. You're just rolling it because the rolling pin itself is pretty heavy. I'm using a marble rolling pin. So that looks about good for me for my biscuits. I have a round biscuit cutter. You can use a round cookie cutter. And if you don't have one of those, you can use, again, a round glass, which I've used before in the past. Just to mark out your little biscuits. And then once we get all of these biscuits cut out, we're gonna mix our dough back up again and roll it back out. And we are gonna repeat the process until we have used all the dough for our biscuits. Okay, so we have 3 pans of biscuits. Didn't want to put more than 6 biscuits on a pan because I'm not sure how big that they'll get. You don't really want them touching, but it made 18 biscuits, so we're going to go ahead and put those in the oven. I'm going to clean up my mess and then show you how to make the gravy. Okay, to make our gravy, you're going to want to get a roll of sausage. I just used one. I got medium this time. You can get mild, sage sometimes. I just wouldn't use maple. That'd be gross. So I got my sausage in the pan. I'm cooking it on high. I'm gonna break it up and get it all cooked. We're going to check our biscuits. Pull out the pan, check the bottom, it's nice and brown, so they're done. We're going to pull them out and stick them on the counter. Ta-da! Now let's look at our sausage. I have it all cooked up. I did turn my heat down to low and let the pan cool off a little bit with this in there. I got it all ground up and done. Now once you get your meat all done, you're gonna leave the grease in the pan and you're gonna take some flour. I don't measure, but I probably will put all this in there. So it's about, this is 1/3 cup. And you just sprinkle it all over your meat. Now this is also where you would season your meat. I like to put just a tad bit of garlic in mine. Not everybody likes it. I like garlic and everything, like I said yesterday. And then we'll put some pepper in there too. I will be making 2 batches once this gets all cooked up, because normally I like ours a little spicy, like the local restaurant here in town. We like ours, so I will be adding some cayenne pepper to half of this. And then you're gonna stir this up until that flour is all absorbed into your meat and your grease. Stir, stir, stir. And it smells really good. Now I don't really hear the pan sizzling too much anymore, so it's pretty cooled off. I'm going to turn up just a little bit, and then I'm going to get some milk, and we're going to add some milk to this. Now the amount of milk that you're going to add to this is just going to determine how much gravy that you actually want. I usually like to fill up almost the whole pan. Looks good to me. I'm going to turn my heat up a little bit to get this going. And you're just going to want to keep an eye on it and make sure you stir it because the flour mixture will stick to the pan. Okay, our gravy is starting to boil. As it boils and cooks, it will get thicker. It's starting to get a little thicker. Since you guess on your flour, you know, if it ends up not being as thick as you like, then we can just add a little bit of flour to some cold water to add to it. You'll just take a small bowl, put a little bit of ice cold water in there, add some flour, stir it up really, really good so there's no clumps and flour's all dissolved, and pour it into your pan. And that'll help thicken it, or you can use cornstarch. And then if you get it too thick, which I've done before, you put too much flour in and it just gets really, really thick and starts sticking to the pan, then you just add more milk. Keep adding milk. It's starting to boil really good. Get a nice gravy consistency. Whoops, splattered out the pan a little bit. That's okay though. Once this gets to the consistency that I'm happy with, I'll take it off the heat and I'm going to pour half into a bowl for the kids, and then the rest of it I'm going to mix up some cayenne pepper in for Norm and I. So we like it a little spicy. It'll already have a little kick to it with the sausage because I did choose a medium sausage, not a mild. So the sausage in here is going to be kind of spicy. It's getting nice and thick. Scrape the sides of your pan because it is milk. Made from milk. It'll get a film. Let's keep it mixed up. And this will start sticking to the bottom of your pan. It'll burn really fast if you're not stirring it. Now we can turn it down. It's boiling. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pour some in a bowl. And probably make a mess. That's enough for the kids. Now I'm going to grab a napkin just to wipe the bottom of my pan. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn the burner off because it's cooked enough. Cayenne pepper is spicy. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on like that. It's probably good enough. I don't want it too spicy. Let me stir it up. Okay, I'm going to pour the rest of this in a bowl, and then I will see you at the dinner table. Well, breakfast table today. Jacob, do you like your biscuits and gravy?
Yeah.
Baby girl, is it yummy? Yeah. Is it good, babe?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.